Hello, welcome to the channel. This is CFA Franc from Two Boys Media, and today we are going to talk about why there has been so many coups in French West African countries. And anytime there's a coup, we hear the name of France. It's either they want France out or it has to do with France. So why? To understand this, we have to go back in history and understand where all this came from. And we have to understand what the CFA Franc is. This money, I'm going to show this currency on the screen. This is the cause of all this because it's a whole system, it's a whole machinery to colonize or repackage colonization for the French West African country. So somewhere in November, so somewhere in 2017, young President Macron gave a speech in Ouagadougou saying that this is a new generation and we are not going to tell Africans or former French West African colonies what to do. Africans are going to govern themselves and France is not going to have any say. Basically, those former French West African countries are independent, but we've realized that to present it hasn't been so, and there has been a rising coup. So going back to somewhere in 1958, before 1958, 1957 was when Ghana got independence, and France realized that one of the superpowers, which was the British, basically they've granted Ghana their independence, or Ghana has won their independence from France, from the British. So they thought it wise, let's call all their colonies and ask them, do you want independence? That's what France did in 1958. Call all their colonies, ask them, if you want independence, then we are going to structuralize it in a way that it will be formalized and there will be some kind of agreement. We are going to give you the independence, but we will still have a say in what you do. This was when Guinea said no. Guinea had a strong leader. I think he was educated in France as well. He wanted out. He wanted full independence. So he broke away. And I think 2 years within, Guinea, which was a new independent country and enjoying, wanted to issue their own currency. When France realized that, what they did was they sabotaged the whole thing. They printed fake bills, they got their agents down there, destabilized the economy, destabilized the country. And this was a power play from France, telling the other colonies that if you want to go out without any agreement, if you want to be like Guinea, this is what's going to happen. That was a big power play from France. There was going to be conditions attached to the independence of those countries. So what was the conditions going to be? Basically, the leaders who were going to represent each country was supposed to be approved by France. They were going to represent the ideology of France. They were going to make sure that they implement what France wants. Secondly, everything that was going to be done in those colonies was going to be under the tutelage of France and the power coming from Paris. So this was basically colonialism repackaged. So how was it repackaged? Let's look at it here. So in the CFA Franc system, the Central African banks have been obliged to deposit their foreign exchange into the French treasury. So what this means is the money that is being made, let's say if Gabon is making money, right, they have to deposit the money into the French treasury. And if they need the money, they have to go to France to ask them that we want our money back or we need money for this. That's when France is also going to go through a bill or probably something like that to issue the money out. And it's going to be like France is the one giving you the money. The interest on the money is always going to go to France because France can always invest the money in other things. They can invest the money in agriculture, they can give loans to other countries, and they can claim the interest, and it will be France's interest. That was how the colonialism was repackaged. So in 2021, Macron sat down and planned this. He realized that the people of the West African or former French West African colonies were rising. Their voices were being heard, and he was going to do three things to make it look like France is doing something. First of all, they were going to change the CFA franc, which is the currency that most French West African countries are using, to ECO. Then two, the representatives in the Central African Bank were going to be taken off. It was going to be a sole African, management. 3, the West African countries were paying 50% of foreign exchange reserve into the French treasury, and they were going to cut that out, or he was going to cut that out. But this wasn't 100% sovereignty, right? This country still need to contact France, ask France for approval before they do anything. That was going to still happen, with the promise that if they keep doing that, anything that they want in terms of money, aid and support, France is going to support them or provide them. So what has this former colonies been losing to France? What have they been actually losing? So depositing money into the French treasury alone is losing a lot, because they were obliged to deposit money, meaning no money was kept in those countries, or the government itself didn't have any power on their own money. The prices of goods and services cannot be determined by the government. The prices of their minerals, for instance, Niger has uranium, Burkina Faso has gold. They can't determine the price of all those raw natural resources. So basically, all these West African former French colonies have no control over their economic affairs. Everything has to come from France. And if you are depositing your foreign, the money into the French treasury, meaning France needs to make decisions for you. France needs to show you what to do. France needs to show you how to sleep, how to wake up. That was how it was going to be. In terms of education, in terms of food. For instance, Niger has uranium, which is one of the key components in making light bulbs. If I'm wrong, someone should correct me. But Niger's lighting system is poor. If you go to France, each house has stable electricity. That can be said about Niger. Niger is one of the poorest countries in West Africa. Italy gave a remark regarding this, because Italy has been having this economic instability, and how their migration, people from Africa are migrating to Italy in large numbers. So it was this back and forth between the French and the Italian government, and someone from the Italian government said that France needs to abolish their CFA Franc in West Africa and Central Africa, so that the people of Africa can stop migrating and can have money and jobs to do. This didn't really sit well with the French government. So this led to an anonymous French military officer saying that without French or France military intervention in the Sahel, France would have turn out like Italy, or become like Italy. Obviously, France didn't want to lose all this wealth of gold, uranium, Gabon, which is a small oil-rich country. They didn't want to lose all that, so they are still going to maintain their foothold in those colonies, and still want these colonies or West African colonies to come to them anytime they do something. That's a way for them to control the affairs and control the money and the budget that's coming in. So guys, this is the summary of why we hear France anytime there's a coup in West Africa. There's always, we want France out, we want France out. Between the space of 3 to 4 years, I guess, there has been several coups in West Africa. There has been coups in Gabon, one in Niger in July 2023, which is the uranium-rich country. Burkina Faso, gold somewhere in 2022. Guinea in September 2021. Chad in April 2021. Mali in August 2022. And yeah, they are all French colonies. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? What I'm really scared of is, normally with coups, everyone thinks they can, get the next person out and they can come in power. So there's this thing of instability always surrounding coups. Instability in the government, instability in the economy. But what these new West African countries are doing, they are forming an alliance. Niger, the Burkina Faso, the Mali, they are forming an alliance to make them strong. So that if you're going for Niger, then you're coming for Burkina Faso. If you're coming for Burkina Faso, then you're coming for Mali, which is a good initiative. Recently I heard that Niger, right, they are now setting the price for the uranium by themselves. So any profit that comes, it goes to the people of Niger, and the government of Niger. Recently, Senegal had a successful election, and the one who won the election is a young guy. The one who was initially contesting stepped down and supported his colleague, and this was what he had to say about France. Guys, listen.
High time for France to lift its knee off our neck and put an end to this unjust oppression. Centuries of misery, human trafficking, colonization, and neocolonization have caused immeasurable suffering. It's time to put an end to this cycle of oppression. It's high time for France to leave us alone. It's time for France to take a cue from its European neighbors and learn a valuable lesson in independence. Germany is the leading economic power in Europe, significantly surpassing France, which is ranked as the third or fourth largest economic power globally. Germany does not exploit any country, any colony. I can mention Italy, I can mention Spain, who had colonies before, but who do not exploit anyone, who do not interfere, who do not impose leaders in their former colonies. On what grounds does France believe it can continue to impose leaders on us and make choices on our behalf? This must come to an end. And the emerging Africa, the African youth, the African elites, and the African diaspora all stand united in saying no, it cannot continue any longer. France's hypocrisy is evident and pervasive in daily life. Let's examine the cases of Mali and Chad as prime examples of this hypocrisy. In Chad, where the constitutional process has been interrupted, France applauded and its president visited to officially consecrate the new king's coronation ceremony. In Mali, where it is not the constitutional process that has been interrupted, but the transition process, France has condemned and even packed up its things to say that it is leaving Mali. That's hypocrisy. It's the double standard. It is the double language that France employs in its dealings with Africa. During our questioning of Mr. Jean-Yves Le Drian regarding the situation in Ivory Coast and France's decision to allow a third term, he provided a clear explanation. He stated that while he accepted the third term for Ouattara, he refuses it for Belarus. He emphasized that France has condemned the situation in Belarus and has actively encouraged the European Union to do the same. Le Drian explains that in Belarus, millions protested, unlike Ivory Coast, where there were no mass demonstrations on the streets. This is how France deals with African issues. Personally, we expect absolutely nothing from France. We desire her to cease meddling in our matters so that the people of Senegal can exercise their freedom of choice rather than being influenced by France's selection of a candidate using the tactics we are aware of. We begin by targeting individuals, adorning them with the Legion of Honor or a similar knightly rank, enlisting them in Masonic lodges, and informing them to prepare themselves as they will be next in line. Even the hypothesis that Macky Sall may not succeed, we know who is being prepared by France. This must come to an end. It will not occur in this manner any longer. Let's be clear. We have absolutely nothing against the French people. In France, both political and citizen voices are rising to hold and express the same discourse as the one I am currently presenting to you. For example, the deputies, such as Mrs. Frédérique Dumas,